Welcome to the inaugural edition of the Disorderly Podcast. So this is for anyone listening, and there's a lot of banter before this started, I guess. But this is gonna probably change and evolve throughout the process because we're trying to figure out exactly what format works best. But for the most part, so if you're listening to this, you're probably already familiar with the Disorderly. But for the most part, actually, do you want to sum it up? So I'm here with David St. Martin, the founder of the website. I think I joined like a week or two afterwards. My name is Nick Risner. But if you want to just start off basically explaining what the website's about, because I feel like a lot of people might be discovering it through this podcast.
Sure. Hey, guys. So we basically wanted to create a media outlet that's basically just kind of covering our favorite stories and kind of the best of what's going on in sports and entertainment. So we, pick up fun stories, smaller things that you might have missed. We do 2 big posts every day, the highlight and the spotlight. One covers sports, the highlight, and the spotlight covers everything going on in the entertainment world. It's the top stories, it's the best videos, it's trailers, it's tweets, podcasts, you name it. You click on this thing, they come out every morning at 8 a.m. Click on one and you're good to go. It's going to give you a complete rundown of everything that happened in sports, everything that happened in entertainment. Fun stories, things you might have missed. It's not going to be so-and-so beat so-and-so by 47 points in the NBA last night. That's not what we're trying to do. It's going to be fun little videos. It's going to be athletes doing crazy stuff. It's going to be celebrities posting behind-the-scenes footage of them on set. It's going to be fun videos looking at crazy, weird film theories. It's going to be sports teams, doing goofy segments with their players, stuff like that. So it's not, don't come to us if you want SportsCenter. Just watch SportsCenter. But what we're trying to do is something a little bit different, a little bit more fun, a little bit more lighthearted, and kind of focus on the actors and athletes that we all adore. So that's basically it. And so this show is going to be kind of running down some of these topics, and we're going to talk about some reviews and go from there.
Yeah, so just to elaborate on that, I guess, my sort of perspective of this, and so basically, I don't even know, honest to God, don't know how you find this stuff, but I think you just consume a bunch of content throughout the day. So there's always hidden stuff that you don't see on normal websites, like you said. And from my perspective, someone who's doing basically a writer for the Disorderly, so I don't really contribute to that daily post, but I'll do stuff in between. There's basically an overflow of information. You have to almost trim the fat and pick the top stories from whatever the day is. So then there's all this other stuff, and anything that interests me, I'll sort of come in and write about that, or I'll do a review of a band or a movie or a TV show that I'm into. So it's basically this whole, and by the way, like I said, I think with all this stuff, it kind of evolves throughout. So right now it's what it is, but you have to sort of evolve and get rid of the things that don't work and sort of drive towards the things that do work. So right now the highlight and the spotlight I feel like are going to stay because that's kind of the backbone of the whole website, and then everything else is just sort of things that are interesting, which, and we've talked about this, I think that the key to that sort of side of things is that, and I think we've both been there in our careers where you're writing about stuff you don't care about, and you can almost read that. If you're a reader and you're reading through, you're like, I feel like this guy's just going through the motions, whatever. Everything on this website is stuff that I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like it's stuff that we're all pretty passionate about. Whoever's writing about the article, or whoever's writing the article of whatever the subject is, they're probably passionate about that subject. So that really bleeds through more than anything else, which I feel like is kind of a key separation from, not to call anyone out, but I don't think they're even going to hear this, but like a BuzzFeed who is just all right, we have to post about this because this is the trending topic. You know what I mean? I feel like this is more off the beaten path, things that are legitimate interest of whoever is writing that particular piece.
Right. Yeah. Nothing on the site is stuff that we kind of just do because it's going to do well web traffic wise. There's just so much stuff. Other places are going to do that. We're not trying to do that. You know what I mean? So we are doing smaller things that you might have missed. You know what I mean? There's all I do all day is consume interviews and listen to podcasts and pull tweets and you name it. That's all I do all day. You know what I mean? So we're trying to find you guys the best of the best. Put that into 2 big posts for you. And then throughout the day, we're going to find other little stories and fun little things here and there, goofy, crazy stuff, and go from there. But you're not going to find, LeBron James scores 40 points and win over Lakers. You're not going to find that here.
Yeah, it's boring.
I don't care. No one cares.
no one cares. All right, so I think we want to do a rundown of like recent topics. So I think if you want to start with the most recent entertainment one, you had John Bernthal, who was recently in Baby Driver, and that's more of what this interview is about. But you know him from, I mean, whatever. He's Shane in The Walking Dead. He's what was he? He was in Wolf of Wall Street. He's in a ton of stuff. Google him.
He's the Punisher. He's the Punisher.
Oh, the Punisher. Thank you. I don't know how I missed that. Yeah, it's probably I feel like most people would know him from that. But you recognize his face. He's in a bunch of stuff. He had some things to say about Kevin Spacey. Kevin Spacey's obviously in the news. I actually like the way he handled it, and you can elaborate because you wrote this article. But I like the way he handled it, where it wasn't like he's like, listen, I'm not just like talking about him because it's a hot topic issue. It kind of got brought up, and he was like, here's my take, because he worked with them on that movie Baby Driver. So if you just want to elaborate on basically what he had to say about Kevin Spacey.
Yeah, no, I mean, he just basically kind of went off. He was on the Ed Norton and Sam Roberts show earlier today. He's in New York. He's doing press. He was on Howard Stern as well. And they asked him about Kevin Spacey, because he kind of recently worked with him on Baby Driver. And Bernthal just basically just goes in on him. You know what I mean? In like the nicest way possible, but like basically, didn't really mince words about it. He was like, yeah, I grew up, and it was brutal because he's like, I looked up to Kevin Spacey. He was my favorite living actor.
He said it was like a career life-changing moment when he was like watching him in that play I forget what play. Well, he was like, it changed my life. So it's like, it's beyond just being like, oh yeah, I think he's a good actor. He was like literally like one of his idols, I would say. Yeah,
no, he was like, I went to go see him in London when he was in Iceman Cometh, and he was incredible and changed my life, and he shaped my whole scope as being an actor and blah 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 and all this stuff. And then he goes into like, and then I worked with him on Baby Driver, and he was just an absolute piece of shit. Just absolute bully. He says, the way he treated people on set was pretty horrendous. Didn't really cite kind of examples of what he was doing, but just, he did say that, he was speaking to, I guess, assumedly men in such a way that he mentions that if he was acting that way towards a woman, he would have stepped in and said something or done something, presumably. So it must have been pretty horrendous, because Bernthal's got a pretty rough background. He's, I'm 1 degree of separation. He's a friend of mine. And I've heard some crazy stories about Bernthal and his kind of days growing up in the D.C. area where I'm kind of from. So he's certainly not he's certainly not kind of a softened gentleman, you know what I mean? So it must have been bad if it rubbed him the wrong way.
Yeah, first of all, a quick shout out to Jim and Sam, because I love that show. I'm just a big Jim Norton guy in general, but I feel like they do like really interesting interviews that are definitely not your typical Q&As you get in like all these other media junkets.
Oh yeah, no, I mean they're great. They get a lot of good people in there.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so I don't know if you want to move on to Deion Sanders and Tony Romo. You can set that up.
I mean, I'm a Washington football team fan. Am I allowed to say it on my own podcast? I don't know. I don't want to offend anyone, but I enjoy watching a horrible football team that plays in Landover, Maryland, that apparently is from Washington D.C., but never really feels like it. And he had so I'm an incredible fan of just watching two Dallas Cowboys legends. Is Romo a legend? I don't know. Is he?
Arguably,
consider him? Arguably.
I would say arguably more of a legend than Sanders, which is part of my take. But because I think that so I feel like Sanders, because he bounced around so much, he's a legend of football. Like he's definitely a deserved Hall of Famer, all this stuff. But I feel like he's associated. I'd almost say like he's in the Atlanta Falcons like Ring of Honor. He won with the 49ers before he came to the Cowboys. When he won with the Cowboys, it was I think the Cowboys' third Super Bowl in like a little dynasty stretch, whatever. So I think, like, yes, he's known for being on the Cowboys, but I don't even know if that's necessarily like the team he's most known for playing for.
You're crazy. He's absolutely the most known for the Cowboys.
Is it just because it's such a popular franchise and he was like a big personality?
Yeah, of course. I mean, you never see highlights of him playing for the Falcons. I mean,
I could have sworn though. Counterpoint. I could have sworn that there was like some Madden game where it was like they get like the special like players from certain teams. I could have sworn Deion Sanders, if you get him on your team, like a legacy player, he had a Falcons uniform on.
Whatever. I mean, all right. So
I mean, that's how I know him.
Yeah, let's set up the story here. Okay, so Deion Sanders, who is debatably a Cowboys legend, and then Tony Romo. So Tony Romo is calling games in the NFL. He took a shot. Who was it? Was it Peters? I don't know. Somebody missed a tackle.
Marcus
Peters of the Kansas City Chiefs, cornerback, all pro. I mean, he's like incredible, and he misses a tackle. So Tony Romo throws a little. He's almost as good as tackling as Deion Sanders. And it was, kind of a funny little quip, didn't really think much of it. But when it got back to Deion Sanders, he freaks out. He basically went on a 90-second tirade about Tony Romo. You know what I mean? About how he hasn't done anything with his career. I mean, if you just went off, and I'm just like sitting back, just, laughing my ass off as a hater of this team. It's incredible to me to just watch them just bicker at each other.
All right, so this is the overarching theme of this entire thing. I feel like you can dismiss it as like, oh, they're both joking. But honestly, the levels to which Deion Sanders went, like he was mad about what Tony Romo said for sure. Like it was because these are like sore subjects for Romo and like Romo's legacy and people who are fans of Romo or whatever. It's all like it's always about the playoff wins and like you never won the big game and all this stuff. Even though the Cowboys, like say what you want, they had some talent around them, but like it wasn't the stacked Cowboys team from the 90s. I feel like they're a better team now than they were back then when Romo was. He basically like bridged the gap where they would have been an obscure like. I feel like a lot of NFC East teams like disappear for a while. So I feel like they would have been that without Romo. Like they were at least relevant when Romo was on the team the whole time. And Deion Sanders, from a stance of like playing with a bunch of Hall of Famers, won these big games. So I'm not saying Deion Sanders is an individual talent, but I feel like he's legitimately mad to like pick at those like obviously sore wounds that kind of surround Romo's legacy. So like say what you want, but that was not a joke. He was absolutely mad about that.
Oh no, it was great. And shout out to myself for finding literally I took a little screenshot of his video meltdown, and I think I perfectly captured his entire mood in just
that
the
picture with the arched eyebrows.
He looks like Satan incarnate. You know what I mean? He looks like a cartoon character. He looks like Tim Curry in Legend. You know what I mean? Where he's got the orange. I mean, he looks incredible. So shout out to me.
So I wrote the article and then I sent it to you, and I'm waiting for you to post it. You posted it like I think like 10 minutes after I sent it, so it wasn't a long wait. But I don't know what picture you're gonna pick. So like I wrote this article already mad at Deion. I like worked myself up looking up details and like here's why you're wrong. Here's why Romo. So then I like sent it, and then I saw the picture, and it almost like pushed me past my boy. I was like, oh my god, I knew it. Like he's just like he's evil.
I mean, just the shit-eating grin on his face is incredible.
But it's like we were talking about before. I don't even know if this is in the broadcast or before or whatever. But we were saying that, like, when you're, like, super knowledgeable about something, like, random obscure references. I've been a diehard Cowboys fan my entire life. And, like, Deion Sanders to me, and I included at the end of the article, like, my dad, my entire life, he just didn't like his antics. Like, he's kind of a diva. Like, my dad doesn't like those players at all. Like, anyone who's, like above and beyond over the top. Like, my dad's favorite player is, like, DeMarcus Ware, where he's, like, super reserved. He just does his job and runs back. Like, that's who my dad likes. Jason Witten. He likes those, like, the class acts, quote-unquote. With Deion Sanders, he's always been sort of like a attention seeker, spotlight type guy, whatever. My dad just always hated him, always called him baby Deion Sanders. He basically tells me that he's always had the stance of like, oh, he's not a real cowboy. He just bounces around. He's like a journeyman. He didn't like the fact that he played baseball too for some reason, which seems like it'd be a comment. My dad hates this guy. So like I was raised on like not liking Deion Sanders, even though my dad's like a diehard Cowboys fan forever. So like this is already ingrained in my brain. So like if it was anyone else, if it was like Michael Irving or Emmitt Smith or someone saying these same things, I wouldn't have had such a like adverse reaction to it. But because it was Deion Sanders, I don't know, it hit me. It struck something in me I didn't know that I had.
All right, this isn't entirely too much talk of Deion Sanders. This is the most Deion Sanders we're ever going to talk about.
That's
probably
fine. We can never bring him up again.
But I mean, I remember seeing on eBay a Washington slur, N-word, whatever R word my team is. jersey on eBay because he did play for my horrible franchise for about a year or so, wearing the number 21, which just still hurts me. Rest in peace, Sean Taylor. Yeah, moving on from Deion, I can't stand it. I don't want the Cowboys are terrible. I can't be bothered talking about them.
Real quick though, in summation, Deion can't tackle, and that was the whole point.
That's completely fine. I'm never going to argue with
Famously bad tackler. So Romo, point for Romo. He was correct.
That's right. And one dated Jessica Simpson, so I'm going to side with Romo.
And Carrie Underwood. I don't know why you keep hanging up on Jessica Simpson. Carrie Underwood's the much
you're
less embarrassing girlfriend.
What are you talking about?
Jessica Simpson literally had a reality show where they made fun of her for being stupid. That was like the entire premise.
Are you insane? Do you know when was Romo dating her? He was dating her in some of her prime years, sir.
Yeah.
From 2000 what to 2000 something or else. I mean, how can you shade a man for that?
Well, this is the other thing, just to go back to I don't want to make this a Dallas Cowboys podcast, but to go back to the bias and like the backgrounds of this, for me, Jessica Simpson's the person that's like smiling and waving in the booth as Romo like fucks up and gets us out of another playoff.
That's
like
incredible.
So for me, it's like I hate her more than I hate Deion Sanders. Like as far as I'm concerned, she's the curse that befell Romo and the Cowboys.
That's totally works for me. I'll applaud her. She's like the hooker that was sent from LT. You know what I mean? I'm all for it. All right, we're moving on. I can't stand the Cowboys. Our buddy Eric Fontenez, he wrote us a great story today about the Big Baller brand. The probably least famous of the Baller trio. You've got LaMelo, you've got Lonzo, and I guess LiAngelo is the least talented one. Is this?
I was gonna say that's the first I've heard the name LiAngelo.
Okay,
I didn't know that was one.
Then I'm probably right in that summation. LiAngelo, he plays for UCLA. He's a freshman, and he might be spending some years in jail in China, which as most 18-year-old Americans probably want to avoid.
Hot take.
So. Yeah, exactly. Pretty controversial take there. So little background here. LiAngelo, I guess he's playing, what are they playing? Georgia Tech. They're playing some sort of opening, scrimmage, something. I'm not informed, people. Just relax. He's playing Georgia Tech. He was supposed to be playing Georgia Tech in Shanghai on Friday. And that doesn't sound like it's going to be happening because he and two teammates, who I don't care to mention them here, were arrested for shoplifting Louis Vuitton because apparently, who the powers that be mistakenly put them in a hotel next to a luxury bag store or within walking distance of one. You know what I mean? So the boys could, it's basically asking them to steal. Have you ever been to a Louis Vuitton store, Nick?
I have not, but I was going to say, and this might be ignorance, but like, is it typical? I feel like I'm a college basketball fan. Is it like typical to have two teams scrimmage in China?
I don't think that's typical of anything. Yeah,
that's such a weird thing. I mean, I'm a UConn guy. I don't think they send UConn over there. I don't know if this is like a bigger thing. Like if with these big, I don't know. It seems like very odd to me that they're even scrimmaging in China in the first place.
You know what? I mean, I'm a Georgetown man through and through, and I'm racking my brain trying to think of an instance where they sent these dudes across
even to any other country.
But Georgetown's much more international, Nick. We have a reputation of building some of the world's finest leaders. Have you heard of Bill Clinton? Okay. So Georgetown, I think they do send those kids out to places all over the globe trying to build this great game of basketball. But I don't know why UCLA would be there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Fun fact: George Springer, the World Series MVP, UConn alumni. So not quite Bill Clinton, but
who is that? I don't know who.
World Series MVP, George Springer.
What about the guy who got engaged?
Was
he not the MVP?
No.
All right.
I don't think he was, right? I think World Series MVP was George Springer. He had like 5 home runs or something in the 7-game series and 4 in a row, 4 consecutive games in a row.
Who was on Kimmel?
Oh, that's I know who you're talking about.
That's your boy.
Carlos Correa.
So what is yeah? So who
That's the guy who
gets
proposed, right? That's not
Yeah.
the UConn guy.
No.
Okay. I'm saying that's not the MVP, right? It was World Series MVP was George Springer.
What I'm saying is, it's meaningless because
Because
the
he didn't
guy who got
propose.
on, yeah. So
right,
who cares? I know Carlos Correa. I know his name because he proposed to his crazy girlfriend, who seems insane, by the way. If you've seen any video footage of that woman, what is she, 23 or something? Aren't they both like 23?
I know they're both really young because Barstool
Okay.
talked about it in excess. They actually got in trouble for like criticizing the proposal, even though I think it's a very fair criticism. Like, what are you doing proposing in that moment
I don't
at 23 years
understand.
old? Yeah,
No, I feel like that's just pertinent sage advice.
right.
And I'll you want to throw some heat at me, people? Go for it. Yeah, don't get married at 23. I'm 30 years old, 31. Yeah. And I can't imagine getting married. I mean, I am married, but I mean, I can't kind of imagine
We'll cut the
for
part
other
out.
people. Yeah, no, it's fine. I can't
Yeah.
imagine someone 23 getting married. You know what I'm saying?
No, for sure. I mean, I'm
that make any
27,
sense?
so I don't know. Not there yet.
Yeah, it's just I mean, I don't know if me, I'm breaking any news doing a podcast here. But yeah, not worth millions of dollars. I'm not a professional athlete. You know what I mean? So maybe he knows something I don't. But you know what I mean? If history is any guide, I would say, don't get married if you're about to sign a huge baseball contract.
Well, the other side of the Barstool take too was like it sucks for her in that moment too. Now all of a sudden it's like the second best thing that happened to him on that day. Like it's like it's supposed to be like a special day, and it's like, well, yeah, he's going to remember that day as the day he won the World Series, not the day he proposed.
People are worried about her take on this.
No, it's like it's saying even for her, it's like she can't even be happy about it. Never mind how much it sucks for him.
I mean, I don't understand. Hold on a second. So this woman who's 23 years old is going to marry a multimillionaire professional athlete, and people are worried about her thunder getting stolen by him winning the World Series.
I think it's just a bad decision for everyone involved, all parties. I get that she won a lot of money, but maybe like wait a day.
I feel like you would feel bad for Kate Upton if they had to bump her wedding because of Verlander, but you got on Jimmy Kimmel. They mic'd her. They mic'd her up, put her on Jimmy Kimmel to tell.
She was on Jimmy Kimmel?
Story.
I didn't watch that
Yeah.
video.
Oh yeah, dude. Oh no. That's why I have a little bit more inside knowledge on this whole thing, because I had to watch her insane throw it to the crowd as my insane girlfriend in the front row like chimes in on her part of this whole thing. So back to LeAngelo Ball. He's going to be spending time in a Chinese prison. So says the internet. That's probably, top 3 worst places to be in prison. Your thoughts?
I don't know. I feel like there's no good place to be in prison, but anything overseas is pretty scary. Actually, China's, it's up there because I feel like China's got, they're not cool with us, right? For the most part. I don't think they're going to just give LeAngelo Ball back to the U.S.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I mean, hopefully, fingers crossed for him. His organs aren't harvested and he's not summarily executed.
I would say it depends if you're in they're probably in like a Shanghai prison or something, right? So I feel like that's like a little bit better than him being in some country, like mainland country China prison. Because I feel like that's just some guy's basement when you're in a cage.
Do you think that one of the most populated one of the most overcrowded, heavily populated, most polluted cities, you think you're going to have a better time in that prison?
I don't know. Yeah, good point. You probably just become like a farmhand in mainland China, which is definitely an upswing from being in some polluted, like... Have you seen... I forget... I can't remember what it was. They had like these little like pods that people sleep in. I think that's in Shanghai.
Okay. I think that sounds right. If you want to be depressed
those.
for a minute... Oh, it's horrible. If you want to be depressed, go on Jason Momoa's Instagram because, because of what I do. He's literally... He posted a picture of him in his hotel room. And it looks like a gray version of the scenes from like Mad Max Fury Road. Imagine that level of kind of dust storm, but it's just black and gray. And that's just what the day was in Shanghai. It looks horrible. I've heard people that go and visit because, jiu-jitsu circles and things like that, people that went to Abu Dhabi to compete in Shanghai, and they just were like, it's horrible. And these are people that are like the most open-minded, everything's positive. Oh, we're traveling, we love it. Oh, it's great. No, they don't have really anything nice to say. Shanghai, the food, the pollution, the crowds, I don't want to, I've never been, so I don't really want to speak too much on it, but I can't imagine being a teenager not from China in a Chinese jail. That's a fair statement.
Yeah, no, I'm going to agree with that. Do you want to do these movie reviews?
Let's do it.
All right. So first of all, the showing I went to, and I've never done this before, but I didn't even know they did this, to be honest, but it was like a subtitle showing. So hearing impaired.
Whoa.
So it was a regular movie in English, whatever. They also had English subtitles on the bottom, which I actually kind of enjoyed. Because a lot of times...
I've never done that, but I would dig it.
Yeah, like a lot of times I'm watching Netflix or HBO or whatever, like on my TV, I'll throw on subtitles anyway, especially if it's like a really intimate, like dialogue heavy drama or something. Like I almost like to be able to read it. So I was like, I almost enjoyed that more, first of all. The other weird thing about my experience is that I brought a notebook and like literally took notes like an actual film critic.
Oh my God.
But only because I know nothing about... Like you said that you're not like a hardcore nerd about like Marvel stuff. I know I'm like completely in the dark. So I feel like I was coming in completely fresh, which I guess can give me an interesting perspective on it. But if you want to just start off, what was your general take on the movie? And I don't know, however you want to do this.
Yeah, I mean, I'll preface this by saying that neither of us are nerds to that extent. You know what I mean? I love comic books, but I don't read a ton of them. I kind of read what I like. I watch probably every superhero movie, but I'm not the dude sitting there like, yeah, the continuity, or like, oh, so-and-so did this, they changed that, or I don't know, man. You know what I mean? So, the Marvel universe has become this just insane, weird thing that you almost need like a cheat sheet to be able to understand what the hell is going on. After 15 plus movies, or however the hell many movies they put out since 2008. Neither of us know what the hell's going on. So yeah, we just went to go see Thor, Ragnarok. The nerds seem very happy about it. Watch plenty of content reviews, Easter egg videos, all that good stuff. So the general consensus is positive. To me, it's kind of like hit or miss. You know what I mean? I wrote up a review for the site, and I was kind of like, yeah, it is kind of, it's better than what they were doing before, which if you go back and watch the Hulk and the Thor movies, they're absolutely garbage. They're total trash. I had one on in the background on like FX the other day, and you just can't even believe that this movie made hundreds of millions of dollars. But that being said, I think they definitely succeeded in trying to do what they wanted to do with this, which was kind of reinventing these two characters and make them into a money-making monster. You know what I mean? It's a low risk, high reward. These are garbage characters for them that do absolutely nothing standalone. Just put them in a buddy drama together, a buddy comedy, and see what happens. They hired the zany Taika Waititi, let him do whatever the hell he wanted, and there you go. I mean, they spent, I don't know what the budget on this thing was, but I think I saw the movie and then I couldn't believe it was that expensive. Like, it doesn't look like the budget was $180 million. I mean, let me
How much
just...
did it make in the opening weekend? Do you know? A lot, right, though?
Yeah, a lot of money.
See, this is my general take with this stuff, like, because I'm so out of it. So it's like I enjoyed it, but like you said, that there's so many movies out there that the ease of access is kind of gone. So it's like I wouldn't normally. I saw it because we were going to have this discussion about it, but I wouldn't normally go see it because it's like, well, I didn't watch the first two. I saw the Avengers, but how many Avengers are there? Two. I didn't watch the second Avengers, so I feel like I'm already so far behind. Like, you're not just going to start with the fourth Harry Potter movie. Like I feel like I'm already too far behind where it's like, I kind of have to watch the first ones first, right? But then they're all kind of standalones too. It's like, it's almost intimidating for someone like me who hasn't seen every single Marvel comic universe movie, where it's like, am I really going to start now? Or like, I might as well, I feel like I already missed the boat. Yeah,
no, I mean, they throw in tons of crap, and they're like, oh, he's so-and-so's walking down a hallway and he sees a glowing blue cube, and you're like, wait a second. Remember in 2011 where they were trying to find that in Captain Marvel or Captain America? Like, no, dude, I don't remember that. You know what I mean? I don't remember that. But I remember is it supposed to be important? I don't know. Well, what's going on here? Oh, the Infinity Stones. Oh God, where are all the dude? I don't know. I've even read those comics, and I'm like, oh, dude, I can't even keep up with what the hell's going on.
I will say it's like the way they shoot it. Like you mentioned that blue stone or whatever, that square thing, or like there's like certain things where it's like, all right, I know this is an Easter egg because it's like they like play up to it with the music, whatever. There'll be like a break in the music score, or there'll be like an extended shot on something, and I was like, all right, I know that's an Easter egg, but I don't get the reference.
No, it's great because it's like you're missing something. It's
right.
Like instead of just having it be something where it's not obvious, we're going to obviously point something out with you that's going to purposefully infuriate you and make you sit there and go, wait, what the hell is that thing again? It's like your girlfriend or wife is mad at you, but she won't tell you, but you know she's mad, but she won't tell you why. So you just sit there and like, that's basically what they've done. You know what I mean? So, yeah, good for Marvel, I guess. They made a great, they polished those turds, turned it into, super bankable movie. I have no idea what the hell is going on. I've watched any number of movies trying to decipher what the hell is going on. Kind of don't care. Kind of, and I'm kind of superheroed out a little bit, and but it was funny, so I guess it was great.
Well, this is my problem with like all these movies. Like, of course, you already kind of know the whole dynamic of the plot. Like there'll be like ups and downs, but like spoiler alert, Thor wins at the end. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, but that's every superhero movie. Like, I don't understand. I mean, occasionally something, but like for the most part, it's like I bet that in the next Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man beats the bad guy at the end. Do you know what I mean? So it's like I don't know. It just doesn't do it. I'm just not really into him, man. Like there's been some, and I like Spider-Man Homecoming. It's a little different too, but just for the most part, it's like it's just a predictable arc, and I can't get into it.
Well, let me tell you something, Nick. Have I got a movie for you that you're not going to get any sort of resolution out of?
Oh yeah. Oh, is this the? Wait, hold on. What's it called? Let me find it.
That was a segue. That was an attentive segue.
Did I just step all over it? The killing of a sacred deer.
I wrote a review for that. Did you see that? Did you see the homie on the Raiders who picks up the fumble and then gets macked into and then does the flying? That's basically what the equivalent of what you've just done.
Yeah,
you picked up the ball for a second. You had some green in front of you, and then just a sea of teal just massacres you.
Yeah, I blacked out for a second there.
No, that's all right. That's all right. Yeah, no, I saw an insane movie called The Killing of a Sacred Deer, and we wrote a review about it, or I did, and you're not going to enjoy it. It's brutal. But should you see it? I
won't enjoy it, or a general audience?
No, anyone. I'm
the collective you.
Yeah, the collective you. Yeah, you're not going to like it. It's brutal, and like you see these movies and you're like, wow, I'm so impressed by it. Like, it's not a movie for, you know how they say like, oh, that movie's not for everyone. I don't know that this movie is for anyone. You know what I mean? And not to say it didn't have its moments, and I kind of enjoyed it, but you only enjoy it because it's so different and brutal that you're like, wow, how did this get made? This is impressive. Someone was like, yep, here's an untold amount of millions of dollars. Let's run it, baby. I don't know if you're familiar with Yorgos Lanthimos. Have you seen The Lobster?
Yeah, I have seen that. Yep.
All right. Well, Yorgi, as I call him, he really did something here, and he depressed the shit out of Colin Farrell, which is hilarious to me, because I watched a lot of Colin Farrell's press. He's running around. He had to promote this insane movie, and he couldn't even pretend that this didn't depress him. He was just like, yeah, it was absolutely brutal. Yeah. No, I mean, just the headspace that you're in, it's absolutely brutal.
I will say with Colin Farrell too, that's pretty drastic because he does some weird off the beaten path type stuff. So if it's like affects him that much, then that's saying something.
Yeah, no, you think you're like, he's an actor, he can compartmentalize, he can, bing bang boom. He goes home at the end of the day, he's fine. But he was like, man. I mean, I watched. I think we wrote. Let's see, did I write something about him talking about Dumbo? I did. So I wrote up a little thing about him talking about Dumbo and how Dumbo, like, all right, he said, listen, this is insane. He's like, Tim Burton is directing a Dumbo live action movie. Dumbo is probably one of the more just insane, batshit crazy, depressing Disney movies from the 40s you're ever going to want to see. I mean, it's about animal abuse, the circus, there's crazy racism, there's like Black Crow characters that are supposed to be African American, there's stereotypes. I mean, there's a weird acid trip sequence. So they're like, yeah, let's take that horrible garbage and then let's hand it to Tim Burton and, that's what happens. And he says that movie that they're making now is like a barrel of monkeys compared to this thing. You know what I mean? So he's like, oh, it's so nice to go to that movie after this one. Oh, God. And I'm like, Jesus, how bad was it, dude? You know what I mean? This movie is insane. Just to give you a brief rundown, there's this Colin Farrell. He plays surgeon, very successful. He's got kind of like a Nicole Kidman for a wife. So he's doing fine. He's got two of these kind of picturesque 2.5 kids and a dog type situations. Lives in an insane house, like a manor almost, doing very well. And he has kind of this weird relationship with kind of this kid who's played by Barry Kagan.
What's that kid from, by the way? Because he looks so familiar to me.
He's in Dunkirk. He's,
Oh, Dunkirk, yeah.
He's kind of...
He's like the son on the boat, right? Like not the one in the military,
yes.
but yeah, okay, all right.
Yes.
Okay, that's why.
So he's kind of like the new hot thing coming up out of Europe, or England, I guess, or Ireland. I have no idea. He's British or Irish. I don't know. But I see headlines like, is he the next Tom Hardy? I don't think so. Probably not. But he was great in this movie. He's creepy as hell. That's basically what he was told to do. So you're kind of watching this movie. I'm not gonna, no spoilers or anything, people. But I mean, the movie basically takes place over the course of some amount of time, not too long. But you basically kind of are immediately see Colin Farrell start to interact with this young boy, and you're like not sure what the deal is. Like, are they in some sort of mentorship kind of thing? Are they dating weirdly? I mean, you don't know, and there's no real sense of kind of what's going on. Colin Farrell makes time for this kid, but he seems to kind of resent him at the same time. So you're thinking, is there some sort of weird quasi-blackmail, quasi-guilt trip, quasi-something or other going on? Even Colin Farrell has talked about this, where he read the script. He didn't know what the hell was going on until he kind of gets into it, and he was really freaked out. He didn't know if there was some weird pedophilia type stuff going on. But no, it's much more wholesome than that. It's just I don't think this is a spoiler because this is all in the trailer. But Martin is the 16-year-old kid with the relationship with Colin Farrell, and you come to realize that Martin's father kind of dies on the operating table under the care of Colin Farrell's character. And Martin blames Colin Farrell's character in a weird way. And it basically devolves into this really creepy, crazy movie where Colin Farrell tries to kind of step back from this weird relationship with this boy, and the boy obviously doesn't care for that. So he basically says, well, my father died. The only way to make this right is if you choose one of your family members to kill. Not just die. He's like, you got to kill one of your family. Kill your wife, kill your daughter, kill your son, or they're all going to die. And Colin Farrell's like, whoa, quite taken aback by that. And the kid starts to lays out kind of what's going to happen. First, you're going to lose control of your limbs. You're not going to be able to walk, your limb, paralysis, basically. Then they're going to refuse food. Then they're going to start bleeding out of their eyes, and then they're going to die. And Colin Farrell, he's a physician. His wife's a doctor. They're like, go F yourself, get out of here, blah, blah, blah. But then the things actually start happening. And, no amount of tests and all that stuff. They're doctors. They believe in science. They don't believe in voodoo or whatever the hell is going on. They do a million tests, they can't figure it out, and the story kind of goes from there. You know what I mean? So it's I don't want to spoil anything, and I probably already told you too much, but it is the most kind of creepy, unsettling movie you're probably gonna see this year, if you care to see it.
See, that for me is like that's the biggest like point of interest. Like that makes me want to watch it. Like it's not like I want to watch the movie that's like maybe you shouldn't watch this. Like that's like what hooks me, if anything.
Yeah, no, I mean it is. It's so awkward in parts where the showing that I went to, there were people laughing out loud about how incredibly awkward some of the moments are. And it's so uncomfortable that I think a lot of people just kind of laughed out of reaction. You know what I mean? To kind of like take it out of, I mean, there's some very strange moments. Even the dialogue, the way that, Yorgi has very specific cadence that he kind of gives the actors. It is super unsettling. I think in my review, I told people, I don't know if I can recommend it. I don't know if I can recommend you go do this for fun. You know what I mean? I went with my wife to kind of have some fun and watch this, and man, I don't know. You know what I mean? It's kind of one of those great, hey, you want to go, you got a buddy that's like-minded, want to go to, see a weird RC film? Maybe go with your buddy. You know what I mean? It's not a great date night film, but, depending on who you're dating, I guess, you know what I mean? It probably wouldn't be a great first date. I mean, awkward as hell, but if you're looking for conversation, go for it.
He took me to this weird movie. I don't know. There was like this kid and people were bleeding.
It was horrible. I mean, don't do that. All right, what else you got? You got anything else?
I don't know. I guess that's it for the inaugural. I don't know what's going on iTunes and Stitcher and stuff. People are already listening wherever it's at, but
absolutely, you already found it. I'm not going to tell you where it is.
Wherever you're listening.
Wherever you're listening.
Rate, review, subscribe, tell a friend, share the link, do whatever you got to do to pass this around.
We're gonna keep doing these. We're gonna talk about movies. We're gonna talk about sports. We're gonna make uninformed opinions that we whatever we feel like talking about. So I'm gonna do reviews. I'm gonna do stories, whatever we deem worthy of our time.
You want to plug like social media, website, things like that?
Yep. Like us on Facebook, for the love of God. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter.
I invited all my friends. Interesting little experiment. I have like 700 something Facebook friends. I invited all of them. Every single one manually went through because you got to click invite, and I think I got 30 people to like it.
He's a hero.
30 out of 700 though. That's just an interesting little stat for you.
I have like half as many friends, and I got my ratio is way less. But enough about how awesome we are, people.
People like us, I swear. It's not indicative. You'll like us too. You just gotta listen.
Right. I don't want that number to mean anything other than we're a diamond in the rough that you've just discovered. So yeah, like us on Facebook at the Disorderly, Disorderly Ent on Twitter. There you go. That's where you'll find us.
All right, cool. So that, I guess, I don't know, I hate signing off with everything. Like I used to have I do another podcast too, and like signing off is always the worst. But that's David St. Martin. I'm Nick Risner. This is, I guess, the inaugural episode of the Disorderly Podcast. We pick a name, or is that what we're doing?
It's the uncalled Disorderly Podcast Project. The unnamed.
All right. There you go. All right. Thanks for listening, guys. We'll be sharper in the future. Maybe, probably not. No promises.
Not. Yep.
All right. Peace, guys.